Today, we're diving into a huge public health puzzle. You've got this deadly, widespread problem and a solution that's been proven to work all over the world. So why isn't that solution working the way it's supposed to in India? Well, that's exactly what we're here to unpack.
Let's just start with a number that really sets the stakes. According to the World Health Organization, this is how many people tobacco kills in India every single year. I mean, we're talking about cancer, lung disease, heart disease, just a whole list of awful, preventable illnesses. So, what makes tobacco so incredibly hard to quit? Well, it really boils down to one chemical: nicotine. Within seconds of a single puff, it hits your brain's reward system and basically says, hey, this feels good. Let's do it again. And it's not just the nicotine. Things like menthol and other additives can actually make it stick around in your body even longer, just cranking up its addictive power. To really get a sense of the scale here, just think about this. India is number 2 in the entire world for both using and growing tobacco. This makes the problem so complex, right? Because it's not just a health issue. It's woven into the country's economy. Okay, so with a problem this massive, where do you even begin? Well, thankfully, there's a really clear, effective strategy that public health experts all agree on. Let's call it the 75% solution. The core idea is actually pretty simple. And like Dr. Upinder Bajani says here, it's backed by tons of evidence. The single best way to get people to quit using tobacco, or to never even start, is to make it more expensive. You do that with taxes. It's a really powerful public health tool. And there's a specific target for this to really work. The WHO has set a very clear benchmark. For taxes to truly make a difference, they need to be at least 3/4 of the final price you pay. That 75% mark is absolutely crucial. And this brings us to the first major breakdown in India's strategy. When you hold up what's actually happening against that global standard, a pretty serious issue pops up. It's an affordability problem. Just look at this. It really shows the gap pretty clearly. The WHO says 75%. But in India, taxes on cigarettes are only around 53% of the price. That is a massive 22-point difference from where it needs to be to really have an impact. And here's the real-world consequence of that gap. As Dr. Bojani points out, when tax increases don't even keep up with the cost of living, tobacco products don't become a deterrent. They just stay affordable, and so people keep buying them. But believe it or not, the story gets even more complicated. It's not just that cigarette taxes are too low. There's this major inconsistency in the policy that creates a really dangerous loophole, and it hits the country's most vulnerable people the hardest. Let's talk about the beedi loophole. So first, what are beedis? They're these small, hand-rolled cigarettes, and they are way more common than manufactured cigarettes in India. They're pretty much the go-to tobacco product for lower-income groups, which makes them a really critical piece of this whole puzzle. I mean, this slide just lays out the problem in black and white. While cigarettes have a 40% goods and services tax, or GST, the rate for beedis is less than half that, just 18%. This creates a huge incentive for people to just choose the cheaper, much more lightly taxed option. So this isn't just about tax policy, you see. It's an equity issue. By keeping the tax on beedis so low, the policy ends up harming the poor, the very people who use them the most. It's a massive lost opportunity to protect the health of those who need it most. So, we have taxes that are too low and a loophole that basically favors the cheapest, most accessible products, which leads to a really fundamental question. Why do these policies even exist? The answer, it seems, lies with the industry's interference. So yeah, why hasn't this been fixed? If all the evidence is so clear, why does this gap between what works and what's actually happening just stick around? Well, it turns out this is no accident. And here we get to the heart of it. According to Andrew Black with the WHO, these policy gaps are the result of a deliberate strategy by the tobacco industry. Their entire goal is to interfere, create confusion, and ultimately water down the very measures that are designed to save lives. And we're not just talking about one part of the industry here. Research shows that companies across the board, from cigarettes to beedis to smokeless tobacco, are actively trying to influence policy. And this can mean anything from lobbying politicians to funding skewed research to running PR campaigns that try to downplay the health risks. Now, as we start to wrap this up, it's really important to see that this isn't just a story about one product in one country. The implications of this whole struggle go way beyond tobacco. First off, there's the huge environmental cost. Every single year, trillions of these plastic-filled cigarette butts end up poisoning the planet. But beyond that, the decades-long battle against big tobacco has basically created a playbook for how to deal with other major public health threats. As Prashant Srinivas puts it so well, the lessons we've learned here, they're directly applicable to other industries that harm public health, like alcohol and processed foods. Understanding their tactics is really the key to winning future battles for public health. And that leaves us with this final, really critical question. This whole struggle boils down to a fundamental conflict. How does a society protect the health of its people when there are powerful, incredibly well-funded commercial interests fighting back every single step of the way? That's definitely something to think about.